There has been so much talk about the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in recent years. Some have it on an altar as one of the best video games in history and one of the most influential open worlds of the medium. Others consider it overrated, and that the lack of classic dungeons or a deeper story greatly detracts from the experience. But regardless of what you or I may think, it's undeniable that Breath of the Wild is one of the video games that had more care and attention during its design and development. The pity I felt when Breath of the Wild 2 was cancelled. I guess Tears of the Kingdom isn't so bad, right? Already from its first trailer, the sequel to the acclaimed Wii U game, yes, it's a Wii U game although sometimes we forget about it, came stomping really strong. But what really shocked me were Link's new abilities and mechanics for this new adventure through Hyrule. Who wouldn't want to craft a sword using a stick, a bokoblin horn, half a dog, a banana, a hat, and a sword? Or fly through the skies of Hyrule aboard your own airship? Oh well, you could already do that in Breath of the Wild, anyways. If Breath of the Wild already sought to encourage not just exploration, but freedom and the range of options available to the player to face every challenge of his world, Tears of the Kingdom has doubled it. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about today. The foundations that really made Breath of the Wild revolutionize open worlds, and how Tears of the Kingdom has revolutionized the revolution, if that's even possible. Let's unravel the secret piece of its world to find the true essence and principles upon which absolutely everything revolves as you explore this post-apocalyptic Hyrule. Are you ready? Then stick yourself to the seat using the Ultra Hand, stop time with your Sheikah plate, and let's get into the design of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. If you're watching this video, it's because you love video games, right? This industry so wonderfully ours can give us unique experiences in terms of immersion, decision-making, leaving our footprint in their worlds. Experiences that can't get even close to in any other medium, be it cinema, a book, a TV series. No choose-your-own adventure can even reach the shoe soles of what it means to explore by ourselves any world that is presented to us on our console. Imagine if you wanted to make Thor aim for Thanos' head during the end of Infinity War. It doesn't matter because the Norse god will always fail his QuickTime event and in the same way. You can tell he's more into Fortnite. In some video games, we could avoid that failure, relegating the original ending of the film to a YouTube video showing the bad ending with Thanos' snap. But what I wanted to talk about today isn't so much about being able to change a specific event, nor about the immersion that is created by the feeling that we, ourselves, are the ones who perform the actions of the main character. No. I believe that the greatest virtue of video games, which makes them even something good for all of us, is that they are the entertainment medium that most enhances lateral thinking. Sounds like an excuse to convince your mother to buy the next GTA. Before going back to Zelda, it's time to explain what lateral thinking is. Is it meditating on something while walking sideways? Are crabs the absolute masters of lateral thinking? You are close, but no. Lateral thinking is the ability we have to approach a problem and solve it in a not-so-conventional way. It's the ability of being able to give it a more creative solution by exploring new approaches that wouldn't normally come up to us easily, or aren't the most obvious solution. The term lateral thinking was coined by inventor Edward de Bono in 1967, but I'd say it's becoming more and more relevant every year, and more so in this timeline where AIs are becoming more powerful each day. In fact, I'm an AI myself. Nah, just kidding. If AIs are capable of repeating the most recurring patterns, imagine how important it's going to be able to think outside of them. Or as they say, to think outside the box. And since we have mentioned the box, we can use it as an example. Imagine you have 9 dots placed like this on a sheet of paper. How would you connect them all without lifting your pencil off the paper, and while drawing only 4 straight lines without repeating any of them? You can pause the video and try to solve it if you want. Have you already tried it? Leave a comment if you were able to solve it and show that you are not a bot. It may seem extremely difficult once you try it, but as a good egg of Columbus type of problem, once you know the trick, it's very simple. The real difficulty of this puzzle arises because, at first, we all unconsciously assume that the problem is limited to the space between the 9 dots, what we could call the box. However, no one has ever said that. And as soon as you think outside the box and consider that this barrier only existed in your mind, bingo. Thanks to that change in perspective, the solution was much more attainable than it first appeared. But of course, we had to give it the right approach and fight against our own psychology. Thinking outside the box. Our ability to think laterally is going to be key to our future, and I have no doubt those of us who play video games have a clear advantage over the rest of humanity. Who would have thought that the future belonged to gamers? That is, if we are able to go outside our room to get some sunlight. The matter is, what do some eggs and lines have to do with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? Well, although it may surprise you, everything. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are two video games whose main goal isn't that you live a great story, that you explore every confine of Hyrule, or that you experience the most tense combats. It does not mean that those things are not part of them. But what Nintendo really wants is that you can do all of that and much more with the greatest possible freedom. Freedom to approach any challenge in so many ways that some of them may not have even been considered by the devs. This is what is called emergent gameplay. Devs give us a handful of simple mechanics that are capable of interacting with each other, and we create our own solutions depending on what we have at reach, what we like the most, or the situation we find ourselves in. Emergent gameplay, of course, goes hand in hand with lateral thinking. In the end, our ability to find imaginative solutions will be enhanced and fed the more richer mechanics we have at our disposal. And needless to say, both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom give a masterclass in that matter. How would you face a Bokoblin camp if you just broke your sword and you don't have another one? Well, you could, for example, shoot an arrow to one of their explosive barrels. You could use magnesis to use a metal box as a weapon. You could even notice that there are some rocks up the hill, and with a little push, they will roll over and give them a good hug. You could put on Mayora's mask to stop enemies from attacking you and walk past them. Or you could even leave a bomb on the ground, stick a octo balloon to them, use a kolog leaf to make it glide over the camp and boom. And let's not even talk about how you can complete a shrine. Who would want to do the puzzle as it is when you can make yourself a trampoline to jump over the door, or use paralysis to throw the shake-a-ball directly to its destination, or flip the entire puzzle over to use it as a bat, or use the octo balloons to skip the entire shrine? You can drive yourself crazy overcoming an obstacle as seemingly simple as crossing a freaking river. You could search for a bridge or swim across like a normal person. But what's the point if you can have a raft and propel it with a kolog leaf? Build your own raft with a log and propel it with a whack. Cross the river by creating ice pillars. You can stick balloons to the raft and fall with style. I don't know, in Tears of the Kingdom, you can even ride a fecking speedboat. There are countless examples where you can go completely crazy to overcome any obstacle. If that's not the ultimate expression of encouraging you to develop lateral thinking, I don't know what it is, because look at the amount of mechanics you can play with to achieve that emergent gameplay. Shaker runes, having one that is a magnet that interacts with any metallic object, another one that freezes water, another one that paralyzes and throws things away, and, well, bombs. They may not look like much, but they are bombs nonetheless. I wouldn't mess with them. Electricity, having objects that attract it, that repel it, or directly being able to solve electricity puzzles by placing weapons or metallic objects to close the circuit. There are elemental synergies, such as equipping a firearm to warm yourself up in the cold, or an ice weapon to cool you down, a wide one to cast shadow over yourself. You can even use hot places to cook without a pan, or simply shoot a fire arrow. And while we've already talked about some of the item synergies, like the kolog leaves being used even as a weapon or the octo balloons, which I'm pretty sure are the most broken item in the history of video games, and they are cool as a ladle. And that's just talking about Breath of the Wild. In Tears of the Kingdom, it gets even crazier. Now you can fuse objects to craft your own brand new and broken weapons. Is an enemy kicking your ass as soon as you are near it? Don't worry. Just put a stick together with a wooden plank and create a giant fan to keep him away, or even throw him off a cliff. Or better yet, fuse a stick together with a spear and create the longest spear humankind has ever known. Same with the Ultra Hand to stick things together. It's going to be crazy to see what people can create with this in several years, but crafting your own vehicles or a damn mecha is already amazing. The recall ability is really versatile, not only being the transport to go up to Celestial Islands, but also being able to return projectiles to enemies, and giving even more utility to items by being able to craft arrows with new synergies is outstanding. As you can see, in Tears of the Kingdom, the range of options available to the player has increased exponentially, reinforcing even more that in a pinch, or even for mere fun, that emergent gameplay hand-in-hand with your lateral thinking can create totally unique experiences. So if you know any other hidden mechanics or curiosities about Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, leave them in the comments, as I'm sure many of us won't know them. Although what we do know is that the most broken thing is still the octoballoons. But it doesn't end here. All this is enhanced and complemented wonderfully by the rest of the design of both games, which actively encourage you to use your lateral thinking until you have a huge brain. Weapons can break up so that you can't rely on them alone, and to put you in situations where you must improvise. Combat is kinda simple and even crude, precisely so that you have to figure it out using the rest of the mechanics. The Divine Beasts want you to see them as a whole in 3D, and not as another dungeon made up of floors and rooms. The shrines have ultra-varied puzzles for you to learn and experiment with all the mechanics and resources of the game. In the end, it's really you with your lateral thinking that makes both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom the pinnacle of interactive experiences. You are amazing, dude. You deserve a round of applause. These are video games where you can ask the most convoluted question possible about a mechanic and have it answer back with a, "Sure thing, champ, you can do it." There is nothing that rewards originality and immersion more than rich emergent gameplay, and in this way, you will gradually develop a sense of lateral thinking that will be of great use when AIs rebel and conquer the world. Wait, exactly what happened in Breath of the Wild with the Guardians? Nintendo already knew it. Well, until that happens, you have plenty of time to practice your lateral thinking by crafting a good like and sticking your finger to the subscribe button. Nintendo has told me it unlocks a secret shrine. Thank you very much for your time, and see you in the next video.